Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
I always knew I'd be a great mother. Maybe it's because I knew I had to be. Sometimes years go by, then you're standing there and you realize you're not the same person you once were. At some point, you have to figure out who you're going to be. I choose a new path. One where I do anything for my family. Because none of this was meant to be done alone. I could be thinking, what could go wrong? What could I lose? Or how it can all come undone. You can't let someone else decide that for you. You don't know how it feels. For what are we? Without our family.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show.
We're
live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. You just saw the trailer for Ohana. It's a TV series about organized crime and government corruption in Hawaii. That project is at the center of one of the clearest cases of weaponized prosecution I've seen yet. Chris Mazzei is a husband, a father, and a small business owner. And during the pandemic, he and his wife, Erin, took out a PPP loan for that series. You guys remember that, right? Pretty much free money. They relied on the written guidance from the loan originator that projected payroll figures were acceptable standard practice in traditional SBA programs to get the loan. They were fully transparent. Most of the money was either repaid or never even used before sentencing. And yet federal prosecutors seized the family's assets a full year before any charges were filed. They forced the family home into foreclosure. They threatened to criminally charge Chris's 78-year-old mother if the couple didn't take a plea deal or if they tried to submit exculpatory evidence. 10 days after sentencing, federal agents showed up at the foreclosure auction and bid on the Mazzei home, using money they had already seized from the family. The same government that called it fraud was ready to profit from more than $1 million in equity they had taken from this family. Erin has already served her time. Chris has been in Washington fighting to expose the truth. Now his surrender date is August 20th. This is what happens when the justice system is weaponized against ordinary Americans. It doesn't just take your freedom. It attacks every part of your life. And joining me right now to tell the story is Chris Mazzei. Chris, welcome back to the Rob Maness Show.
Thanks for having me back, Rob.
Man, that Ohana trailer is intense. And we talked about it a little bit the first time you were on the show, man, but what was it about it that would have shined a light on the underworld of Hawaii and its government corruption?
Yeah, watching that trailer brings up some good memories and obviously bad memories too. The series was the main character was a fictional character, but we wanted it to be different, so we did a lot of research on Hawaii in the 1990s, just on the organized crime over there. I mean, it was running rampant, and then government corruption. And there's a lot of cases of bribery, especially, mobsters bribing politicians and all sorts of things. And I don't remember if I mentioned this on the last time I was on, but one of the cases had to do with a bribery case. And at that time, the AUSA that was handling that case, and I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but it just brought a big spotlight to the stuff that you don't see in the brochures and on the postcards about Hawaii. And that AUSA that handled that bribery case, what's the name? Last name is Kihano, is the defendant in that case. But the AUSA just happened to also be appointed as a federal judge in the early 2000s and was the judge on our case.
Oh.
That was just one of the storylines later on in the episode. We had a lot to do. It was just, corrupt marshals, corrupt prosecute. I mean, it was all over the place. That was kind of running around in Hawaii in the 90s. And I mean, even before that, but we decided to pick the 90s just to spotlight that era. But I mean, it's been going on in Hawaii since, the 50s. So it's an interesting story. And like that trailer that we made was the proof of concept that we had been shopping around to some bigger producers, and also ties to, it could have either gone a couple ways, to a streamer like a Hulu or a Netflix or something like that, or CBS at that time had a pretty big presence in Hawaii doing, they did like Magnum PI, the remake of Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0, NCIS and those. And we shot that trailer in October of 2020, and all those guys were out of work. So they were very thankful that we were there to we had a small crew, like 15 people, but they were still very thankful because they finally had some kind of little bit of a payroll. But if nothing would have happened and we could have continued on and actually shot the pilot in summer of 2021, which we were planning on, and we got a deal, just to give you some basic numbers, like say we got a deal with Hulu for, a first season just to test it out, 10 episodes, 8 to 10 episodes is what they do. Hulu's normally paying about $1 million to $1.5 million an episode. I mean, that's bringing in $10 to $15 million of just equity or funds into the Hawaii government, or not, the state, for paying employees and people spending more. It would have brought in more money.
Right.
And if they liked it, we probably would, most of those series last anywhere from 3 to 5 years. I mean, you're talking a pretty good amount. But then if you jump up to a CBS, which we were talking to a contact at CBS, because they were getting rid of, I mean, the Hawaii Five-0 was done, Magnum was on its way out, and then NCIS didn't do as good as they hoped. And they really liked this concept because it showed it wasn't the candy-coated, bubble gum series of Hawaii. It actually got pretty dark and in there. And, if a CBS would have picked it up, even for their streaming on Paramount at the time, their budgets are bigger. I mean, we're talking anywhere from 5 to 10 million an episode.
Wow.
I mean, and you could imagine normally they're still going down to the 10 episodes, but I mean, back in the heyday when, the big, Wednesday night or Thursday night dramas that you'd watch where they order a 25 series season. I mean, $5 to $10 million an episode, that would have brought a lot into the economy in Hawaii, and it was all taken away. Like they didn't want it. So
Yeah, I mean, and the trailer shows you it's a good story.
it's a good
I mean,
story.
you
I got the
guys-
concept
you
from
guys have the quality down. You know, it's a good story, right?
oh, we got lots of compliments on the trailer, and even that song. Like we had to this is before AI. Like we literally had a sound house in Hollywood recreate that song, the Tom Petty song, into that, just to give it more a dramatic feel. So I mean, it would have been a great show. Like I don't know if you've ever watched Ozarks or even some of the stuff on HBO. Like it would have been like that. It would have been a good crime drama, but it would have exposed a lot of true life stuff that was happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, is it these PPP loans that were going on? Other entertainment companies were getting them, right? I mean, you guys weren't unique, right?
No, and actually, you had Martha Burns on a couple weeks ago, and we've been talking a lot, especially right since my surrender date is coming up, and she's been helping and kind of trying to expose a little bit more with someone that helped her with her husband's case to get a little more information, and she dug up and gave me some info, and then I've kind of looked at some more stuff, but there was a lot of production companies and studios, and even the big, agencies that represent, actors and directors and all that stuff that got millions and millions and millions. I mean, a couple. Let's see. One she gave me was Barwood Films, which was Barbara Streisand's production company, and the majority of that money went to pay her gardeners, her house staff, maids. It didn't go at all to producing from what was dug up. And the same thing, like Coppola's films, which I mean, I'm Italian, I love The Godfather, but they still took out big PPP loans and all forgiven, and even Jim Henson's company. And the problem is all these companies that got that, like you said earlier, is free money for their payroll.
Right.
So they were all had huge profits during COVID because, they didn't have to put out their, top line money to pay for payroll. So they all took huge bonuses at the end of the year. And they all got forgiven because let's see the stat on the forgiven I guess there was around 11.5 million loans and only 73,000 were actually paid back.
Wow.
And if you look at our case, we were 90% paid back, and we would have been able to pay the whole thing back after we learned that the loan originator's advice was wrong. And we said, okay, like we have equity in our house in California. We had over $1 million in 2021. Like, can we just pull out a loan? Like I can get an equity line or redo the equity line. And we're talking about under $200,000. Like AUSA basically shut that down, put that Liz pendants on it, so we couldn't do anything with our property. So
were you? Let's talk dollars for a second before we go to this break, and then I'll ask you my next question. What was the size of your loan relative to these other big companies you're talking about?
So ours was around a little over 1.3
million.
1.3 million. Yes.
That's all.
And that was based off of the budgets that we had set up for this project in late 2019, early 2020. Like it was there. We were working with another company called Buffalo 8 at the time that was doing the budgeting for us. And we have the whole budget. So we went off of that, looking at the below line employees, so it was all for payroll, and that's what that figure came out to. So it was based off of hard numbers as opposed to the prosecutor saying this was a vanity project. As you can see, even from the trailer, this was not a vanity
Oh no, I mean this looks like a high quality artistic production with everything I would expect when I sit down at HBO or CBS or in a movie theater even to pay to watch something. I expect that level of quality. I wasn't surprised at all when I watched the trailer. What I'm surprised about is that the prosecutor said it was a vanity project. But I'm also surprised that you mentioned all these big companies like Barbara Streisand's, Coppola's, and all that. I'm sure they got more than $1.5 million.
Oh yeah, they were anywhere I think between 5 and 10.
Yeah, so I mean it's unbelievable. We got to take a break, Chris. When we come back, we'll see clips coming in just like normal in all the cold opens coming back from the segments. I think the next one is Dean Cain talk with you, and we'll hear what he had to say. This was just before July 4th, I think. We'll be right back with Chris Mazzei.
At a certain age, you stop chasing younger. You start protecting what helps you feel steady, strong, and well. Your body's collagen matters. It supports the structure of your skin, joints, and connective tissue. But as the years go by, your body needs more support from the inside. That's where Bella Grace Elixir comes in. Bella Grace Elixir combines Verisol collagen, the world's most clinically proven collagen, with asteryl astaxanthin and cat's claw in a proprietary blend designed to help support the processes that reconstruct collagen, while also offering antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. And this isn't just for women. It's for men and women who want to age with more confidence, more care, and a daily wellness routine that supports the body from within. One simple elixir, thoughtfully formulated for whole body wellness. Take care of the body that has carried you this far. Order Bella Grace Elixir today at melissahousebg.com.
I took the time to go watch your interview or listen to your interview with on Roger's radio show, and that was informative to say the least. Lawfare is insane. I retweeted something that you had put out there as well. So Ed Martin certainly has the inside track on all that stuff that's going on and what to do, and clearly Roger does as well. If there is a 250 pardon on July 4th, that would be phenomenal. I hope that happens for you, because I can't even imagine what it's like if you'd have to go in for the 36 months or whatever period of time they have set. And I was looking at all the stuff around your case, and there's some lawfare for sure going on there, my friend. So I'm rooting for you. I checked out your X handle, and I'm going to check out the video that you sent as well. But I hear you, brother. I'll be in DC in a couple days, actually. So I'll be speaking to some folks. I'll see if there's anything that I can do to help out, because it sounds like a terrible situation. And the lawfare, I cannot imagine what that's like if it's aimed at you with the federal government. And clearly that was the last administration. So we'll see what this one does. Wishing you the very best, you and your family, my friend. Be well.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, you know, the title of the show today is Weaponization of the Justice System. It attacks every aspect of your life. And my guest today is Chris Mazzei. He and his family, his wife's already done her prison sentence. His wife, Erin, he and his wife both were accused, tried, and convicted of fraud on a PPP loan of all things. And when you dig down into the facts, it's really weird. Chris, do you think conservative people? I mean, I'm assuming prior to me meeting you and you getting involved in advocating for yourself and others, you mentioned Martha Byrne. Do you think that conservative people that took out these PPP loans have been targeted specifically, as opposed to these leftist liberal ones like Barbara Streisand's?
The entertainment industry.
Yeah, in the entertainment industry.
It kind of leans that way. Absolutely. And there was another. It wasn't a PPP, but it was it was like a grant loan that went to the show Hamilton, and I think they got I think I forget if it was like 50 to $100 million.
Oh my goodness.
And that show was extremely profitable before the shutdown. Like, I mean, it it feels that way just from what research I've done and then kind of the stuff that Martha's been helping with for sure.
Well, what do you think that is?
Easy target. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I haven't done enough research on that, but I mean, if you look at a lot of these prosecuting cases, even outside of PPP, that I mean, you've met a bunch of people. They're all very conservative, all supporters of Trump. So is it a way to just shut down his base? I mean,
Yeah.
it is a little strange. And I have friends that are big Trump supporters, and I mean, they're scared every day now. I mean, they're very successful. They're like, I feel like it's just a matter of time. Like, am I going to get that knock on the door? So,
You can't blame them. You know, you have people like Cynthia Hughes, who's now she took care of a lot of J6 families under her Patriot Freedom Project organization, but she created a new organization called weaponizationwatch.org, folks. Cynthia did, just to try to help you guys and get spotlights on these things, you know, and the guys over at Oversight Project, Mike Howell and Jeff Clark. And Jeff Clark was a victim of weaponization himself. I just had him on last week. But, I mean, those guys have dedicated large portions of their organizations to trying to help folks. And it seems like they're all supporters of Donald Trump, even the ones that were Democrats, like Governor Blagojevich, who I think I've got a clip of in the show here. You know, it's just really odd. So you're facing a 20 August surrender date. How is that deadline affecting the family? How are you guys doing? How are the boys? Is Erin recovering from her time in prison?
Yeah, it's obviously anyone going through this, and luckily you have not had to, but when I was talking to Roger the other day on his show, and it's a roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. I mean, even just going through the prosecution, but now, since our stuff was staggered, it's even a bigger collateral damage on our kids. And getting at how Erin's dealing with it. You met Erin for the first time when we were in DC last month, for Cynthia's gala, which was great. But I mean, that was the first time Erin literally was out, because she was on home confinement towards the end of her term. And I mean, she got off of that 2 days before we flew to DC. So it was really the first time she'd been around people again. So it's been an adjustment there. And now she's on the supervised release, which for her, it's a little annoying because every month now she has to make a restitution payment, even though basically everything's almost been paid back. So it's kind of obnoxious. But she's getting through it. We're literally in the middle of a move. She just went to Goodwill to drop off some old stuff that the kids don't use anymore. So we have that kind of occupying our time, and I'm glad I'm here right now to be able to help with that. Because after I get off with this, where it's basically move mode for the next 4 days to get in our new house. But the kids, I mean, when Erin was gone, and I've told this before, like, even when the kids were little, Erin and I always made a point, like, I always wanted to be at drop off. I always wanted to be at pickup. So I'd been there all the time, because luckily we owned our own business all the time and had the luxury of being able to do that. So it wasn't like Erin went in and, oh, here's dad now that I didn't really see, like how my father was.
Right.
I mean, he was a cardiac surgeon, so he obviously had crazy hours. But I still built up a bond over those 14 months Erin was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, our oldest, Luca, he started to deal with some anxiety. And before Erin left, he was the happiest kid in the world, like giggling, friendly, silly. And then, he started turning into having panic attacks and, having to pick him up from school because he couldn't breathe, thought he was having a heart attack. So I kind of have to, that even made our bond stronger because I was able to talk him through that. And then he's went and saw a professional to kind of help him deal with that. And then over the summer, since Erin has been home and the past month in June felt somewhat normal, at times. We took everybody out to DC, and right when we left DC, we went to Disneyland and to Huntington Beach for a couple of days as a little mini vacation because we didn't know if we'd be able to do that later on in the summer. And so there's days like that feel normal, but then, like I said, it's like looking at the weather report, on your app, and that you see the storm that's still coming.
Yeah.
And that is gonna destroy them again, especially my term's longer. And Luca's starting high school this year. He's gonna be a freshman. He's gonna be learning to get his learner's permit soon, and that's all stuff that I would like to be a part of.
Yeah.
The other day we were talking at the dinner table, and we kind of told them they knew something was coming, but they know. I mean, they've been to DC. You've met them a couple times. They know we've been meeting with people that are important and doing, advocating and just trying to push for a pardon or even some kind of clemency. And but they still knew, like, mom's home, like there's still that possibility because obviously we haven't said, hey, we got a pardon. But I'm Italian. I like to cook. Erin and I owned a big catering company as well, besides doing movie stuff, and I was the chef. And I usually do all the cooking because it's a stress release for me as well.
Right.
And what our youngest, Nico, said, well, who's going to cook and how are we going to get anywhere? Because you don't drive, Mom, because I always, I'm always the one driving. And she kind of started laughing at it as well. But she's like, oh, well, yeah, there's a lot that's going to be going on when you're the pseudo single parent again. And I went through that while Erin was gone. I was telling on Roger's show the other day, I'm like, during the day, I would go and do the work at our gym that we own, but then the rest of the day I need to fill my time. So that's when I started doing a lot of the advocating, cutting commercials, buying billboards and all that stuff. But I also found myself talking to myself throughout the day because Erin and I have a unique relationship where we work together, but we also are married. So we're always together, and other couples would kind of frown their face at us because they don't have that kind of relationship. But our relationship is unique in that way, and we were best friends before we even started dating, so we have a special bond. And I kind of was telling her, like, the stuff I was doing at home while she was in the camp, and obviously trying to say what I was doing here has nothing compared to what someone is going through inside a facility. But now the roles are going to be reversed, and even for our business, I mean, there's stuff that she just physically can't do. For lifting things and fixing equipment and all that kind of stuff, that it's gonna put a strain and possibly even on our finances. So,
oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, I want to get your take on how Erin maybe be able to help you prepare to go in now that she's had the experience and what you guys are talking about in that regard. I'll be right back with Chris Mazzei.
Introducing Worldview Tube Vault. Over 35 years of radio broadcasts, television programs, documentaries, and ebooks. Plus, Worldviewpedia, our powerful search engine for instant worldview and Bible research. Join for as little as $7.99 a month. And now, Vault members get something brand new, courses. Our very first course is here, the Book of Revelation with Brannon House. 53 in-depth lessons, complete with overview quizzes, walking you verse by verse through one of the most important books in Scripture. Getting started is simple. Go to worldviewtube.com/vault and join today. Already a member? Visit worldviewtube.com, click the person icon in the top right, and log in. Then hover over Vault in the menu and select Courses. That's it. You're in. Join WorldviewTube Vault today at worldviewtube.com/vault.
Okay, my friend, all the best to you, as best you can. Wishing you a happy holiday season. It's a real hard time of year when you're facing what you're facing. I know what you're going through, but you'll get through it, man. I'm a living proof of it. And I'll tell you one last thing. It was long and it was hard and it was wrong. And I lost a lot of time. I missed my children growing up, which God willing won't be the case with you. But I missed it. But I'm back in this new beginning that Trump gave me. And I've been back almost 5 years now. And I gotta tell you, there is life after this, what you're facing. There is life after that. And you find, I have found, it's like you've come back from the dead and everything is better. Even the smallest things, you appreciate them more. So in those moments, Christopher, where you feel downcast and you're despairing and you're depressed, because you're inevitably, certainly feeling that from time to time, and you say maybe, what's the use? This is only going to be bad. It isn't. You'll overcome this. You will overcome this. And then you'll find everything's better after you do it. And you will be a better man for having the strength and the toughness to endure, to persevere, and to one day overcome. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later. All right, my friend, happy holidays, and look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Training Tuesday, and we're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. That was former governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich, and I don't blame him for wearing a Bears sweatshirt, so we can give him some grace on that. But I've met him several times in the last year and had a chance to speak with him, be on panels with him. I even was able to moderate a panel that he was on. The weaponization of the justice system that happened to him is eerily similar to what we're talking about. And the governor was giving a pep talk to my guest today, Chris Mazzei, who has met him several times too, about what he is about to go through and what he's already going through, and he and his family both. And Chris, Governor Rod is he's very impressive when he talks about this issue, because when you see it, when you talk to him in person about it, people present themselves differently to people on TV and take things differently and those kind of things. But when I sat down and just chatted with him about that, that's him. I mean, the way he just came across in that video, that's him. But he has really applied his being to learning everything he can from that experience. And that's pretty impressive, I think.
No, I agree. Rod he's a good guy. Even the day before our sentencing, I remember we were walking around. I was pacing in this park downtown Honolulu, and we were on the phone for quite a while. He was driving to go to dinner, and he prayed with me on the phone. He kind of gave me a little pep talk and just said, we'll fight this. And it's hard to complain about Erin and mine sentences when what happened to Rod. I mean, yeah. He got his teeth kicked in pretty well, and he I think a lot of people say was one of the first people that kind of had lawfare against him. I mean, he was he was definitely weaponized. And I remember, God, when was that? Back in 2000, was it 2008 or 9 when he was going through that?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I remember hearing it on the news, and at that time, not witnessing what the government can do. I remember like, oh well, it looks like he got his hand caught in the cookie jar, kind of thing.
Yeah, that dirty Democrat.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I
but
was
then
thinking. You know,
my wife went to Cal Poly, which is here in San Luis Obispo, and it's learn by doing. So apparently, we're learning by doing, just exactly to how the system, as even Donald Trump says, it's corrupt. I mean, so
yeah, exactly. It is. So Erin's learned a lot. She's like, like John the Baptist was to Jesus, going before you and preparing the way and everything. And as you get ready for August 20th, are you guys talking about what she learned? Is she giving you things to think about, to do, those kind of things? I mean, you kind of have an advantage.
Yeah,
over her experience, right?
I've heard stories. There's obviously differences between the female camps and the male camps, but obviously the day to day, she got a job right away. She's like, she got it in the warehouse because she knew that was kind of a pseudo 9 to 5 job, even though you're a little earlier and you get off a little earlier, but it takes up most of the day, and it helped it pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of knowing how horrible the food is, and the random lockdowns and all that stuff. So yeah, I think I know fairly well. And then I've also been talking to I think you met Reagan Kale.
Yeah.
Her husband is in Lompoc right now, which is somewhere I might end up going to, and he's been giving me more info because there's things that I've never heard about, like cars where it's like different groups stick with each other and all that kind of, it's like not really a gang, but kind of a gang,
Mm-hmm.
even in the camps. So, but then you hear, I mean, when Erin went in, I knew nobody in the federal government for the most part. I knew local, good friends with our local, the main sheriff and stuff like that. But besides that, I had to basically, and that's why Erin went in first, because she knows I'm able to, I have that drive. So I was able to make connections, and we, besides just working on advocating for a pardon for us, we were at the Capitol back in was that March together, you and I, after the panel you were just talking about with Blagojevich, and Bill Marshall, the head of the BOP, was there with Todd Chrisley, and I had become friends with Todd a little bit earlier. So Todd introduced me to Director Marshall, and he was very candid with me and talking and open on all the stuff he's trying to fix, because these facilities aren't listening, and it kind of comes down to the different types of credits. And Erin,
right,
she got screwed on her credits. She was in there for 14 months, but the problem is there was the First Steps Act that Trump put into play in his first term. And then there's the Second Chance Act, and these are all things that I've had to learn. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert on it, but I know pretty damn well how they work. And the problem is the case managers in these facilities will follow the First Steps Act when it's directed down by Central BOP. But when it comes to the Second Chance Act, and that's basically, let's give an example. If you get we'll do my example. Say you get a 36-month sentence.
Mm-hmm.
With the First Steps Act and the Second Chance Act, all that stuff, and if your violation wasn't something violent or sexual related, white collar, basically, like what Erin and I are dealing with, You should realistically have about 9 months at a camp. And then you have a home confinement date, which is 10% of that. So that's take another 3 months, and then about 6 months on average at a halfway house. So you're really only in the camp for the roughly 9 months.
Okay.
But the facilities, and there's some that are doing it correctly, and there's some that aren't doing it correctly, and the ones that aren't somehow seem to be over on the West Coast here. They're keeping people in for 14, 15 months and then just sending them straight home without having that halfway house. And people are like, well, what's the difference between the halfway house and the camp? At the halfway house, you can go out, you can actually go, if you want to go get obviously a job, or
Yeah.
Erin, since we own our own business, she actually was just doing online studying and go to the library, but you have your cell phone back. You have the ability, like the halfway house even let us take Erin out to go to Disneyland because her halfway house was only half hour from there. So like we were able to do stuff like that, or go home on the weekends if the halfway house is close enough. So you have a little bit more freedom, but you're still in check. And I get what the halfway house is intended for people that have nothing to go to. They don't have a home and stuff, and it's to build up, get a job. You're living somewhere kind of for free. And Bill Marshall has said, like, if you don't need that halfway house placement, then send them home. And the FSA, from everything I've learned, lets you go more than that 10% of home confinement.
Okay.
So we know this now, and then obviously, like you mentioned, Cynthia Hughes. I mean, that lady, I don't know if she sleeps. She's always working. I was just on the phone with her this morning, and she was texting me like around midnight her time last night. You know, she has a good Rolodex of people that want to help.
Yes.
And they don't want to. They're not looking for money. They're looking because, like Rod, like Jeff, like they've seen what they've witnessed it firsthand.
Exactly.
And they want to help people. So she's working to try and help us, obviously on multiple levels, but maybe even possibly to get that date of the 20th pushed back if possible, because we have some other issues going on with like my parents and stuff. So
yeah.
Go
ahead.
So we're hopeful, but obviously nothing's ever guaranteed until check clears.
Nothing is ever guaranteed, Chris. Doesn't matter. You know, I've had like 3 deaths in my inner circle of friends and family in the last 3 weeks. As a matter of fact, that came totally out of the blue. You know, I mean, it's nature, I guess, the nature of things. God gives us tools to get through things, and then these things come flying at us out of nowhere, it seems. But you mentioned Cynthia, and I can't say enough about her and her family, and she's tireless. I can't keep up with her for sure. And I'm pretty active, man. Well, we got to take our last break. When we come back, we'll see another little clip. But I want to ask you about your parents, if you're okay talking about it, and some of the things that you're dealing with them, because I know they're having challenges. We'll be right back with Chris Mazzei, a victim of weaponization of the Department of Justice. I'll just say it right out loud.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed.
So at the end of the day, the solution is for the White House, for the president to hear this story. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, he's seen it firsthand, and everybody, I've seen it also. He's a very compassionate person. And I think once he hears somebody's story and gets the truth about it, and it's been vetted, I think he will be like, what did they do to these people? I mean, one last thing. How I said that the prosecutor put a lis pendens on our property with $1 million. Well, 9 days before our sentencing, he told the judge, we no longer have an interest in that house. We're going to actually have the mortgage company put a foreclosure on it. And then 10 days after our sentencing hearing, my same best friend that gave me the money for the billboard, he's a mortgage broker. He sends a person out to that auction, the foreclosed auction of our house of 10 years. And he was going to try and buy it. And he said it was really odd because I've never seen this before, but there were federal agents at the auction bidding on your house.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Training Tuesday, and my guest is that man right there, Chris Mazzei. Chris, before we get to your parents, I mean, they held the house, I'm assuming, because there was still some payments to be left on the loan. You know, it's an asset. So they held it. But why do a foreclosure on it? Why not just turn it back over to you? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. There was a lot of hearings that our attorneys weren't even a part of prior to our sentencing, where it was between the AUSA, the judge, and the mortgage company, which seemed a little odd. Yeah, I mean, it was a normal standard mortgage. You know, obviously it's a 30-year. We were only, I don't even know, 5 or 6 years into it. Or the other question is why they could have just taken it under forfeiture.
Right.
But they didn't. They let it go in that forfeiture, and then they went and sent someone to the house to buy it, or to the auction to buy it. Like every time I've talked to multiple people, and I've talked to quite a few that I've met through Cynthia that you still know, and I'll tell them about our story, and then I'll say that part, and they're like, wait a second. Okay, I've heard some horror stories, but this one, once you mention the stuff with your house, kind of tops the cake. And even at that sentencing hearing, Erin asked the judge, you know, what about our house? And he flat out said, it's in the transcripts, I don't care about your house. Which was after talking to some other people that had lis pendens put on their property at the sentencing hearing. The judge actually, you know, said, okay, you guys can keep your house. It's just going to, part of it, the funds that we think were used for it will go towards against your restitution. But I'm not going to kick you out of your house.
Right.
So it seemed very intentional. And I'm sure we'll never fully know why.
So let me make sure I understand this. They kick you out of your house, and it's not really necessary, because they've used it for what they needed to do, and then they have the mortgage company foreclose on it, which is not really necessary because they could have taken it through asset forfeiture anyway, and then at the auction, federal agents show up to bid on the house?
Yeah, I was surprised because, like I said, in that interview with Matthew Olivares, who's a great guy as well. My friend went out to the auction and he's like, well, you have all this equity, I'll just buy it and we'll work out a deal. You guys can stay there, and if you can, you want to buy it back when you get through the tail end of all this, BS, like, we'll do something. And he only had so much he had like $1 million he could spend, and it went for 1.2 back to the mortgage company. But yeah, basically from the text messages he sent, like, sounds like they bid it up to right around what was seized from us, like around 1.1. That was either seized or paid back on the $1.3 million loan, so the PPP loan. So it was just kind of shocking.
So we think the federal agents were using the government money that they had taken from you guys that now is government money to make the bids on the house? I'm just trying to understand.
That's what it kind of sounds like based on based on the dollar amounts of what they were bidding. I don't know where else they would have gotten the money. And like I said, that's above my pay grade to even find out. I know Kash Patel, I wrote him early last year, and he did his secretary did send a letter back saying he was forwarding all the concerns that I had with backed up documentation about our case to the LA field office for the FBI to basically investigate the Hawaiian district about our case. But
yeah, so this was FBI agents, the federal agents.
I don't know. There was no FBI ever involved in our case. It was IRS.
And they were in California, not Hawaii, right?
No, from my understanding, they kept flying them out from Hawaii over here, even when they gave us the target letter.
Oh, they were IRS agents from Hawaii flown into California to bid on your house.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
None of that makes any sense whatsoever. Can't your attorneys find out what the heck was going on?
Well, unfortunately, our attorneys before were very, very useless. And thanks to Cynthia, Bill Shipley has come on the past month just to help with my status hearing that I had a couple weeks ago, and then hopefully to go further with some of these other issues, and maybe even for pushing back our surrender date because of the health concerns. So
yeah, so let's get to that. I'm familiar with Mr. Shipley. He's a former federal prosecutor, I believe, or AUSA, or both. So I think he does pretty well in this environment. What about your parents? What's going on, and can people help? I guess it's a big question.
So my stepdad, I think he's 84 now, but he's been dealing with Parkinson's probably for the past 10 years, and he's now late stage Parkinson's. So he was just in the ER again last night, but he was actually there a week ago. It was on a Saturday, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before, and he had to stay in the hospital for almost a week due to some complications of that. But that's taken over. It's a battle. He's falling all the time just from that, and then it's now affecting his memory and his just able to do stuff. And luckily we only live a few minutes from my parents' house, so anytime anything happens, I usually have to go over there, or I'm over there a lot just to help with everything, because my mom's rheumatoid arthritis and other health things, and she's 78, like you said earlier. It's not a good picture. And then you add into the mix my aunt, her only sister, just passed away a couple months ago, and when you're at that age, your mind isn't as sharp as it used to, and she's got to figure out how to sell my aunt's house and go through all the stuff that have accumulated in that house for the past 40 something years. It's a lot, and they don't have the funds to hire 24-hour care, which Reese is my stepdad's doctor says he needs. So, you know, it's kind of all falling on me, and especially right now, hoping that I can stay out a little bit longer to at least help my mom get my aunt's house sold, and that would give them a little bit of boost in funds to hire some extra help. Or, I mean, looking at the bigger picture, obviously we're hoping, you know, through all these different avenues, you know, President Trump does look at our case and goes, wait a second, what's going on? And then and steps in. So
Yeah, what is your case is in the pardon office? Is that right?
yeah, I mean, it sounds like Ed has the case. I don't know, or the file. I don't know where it is in the scheme of things. But I mean, if you look at I put the pardon pack together myself. I've had a lot of people ask me about, you know, did I pay an attorney for this or pay this or that? And I've actually told everybody, I'm like, you can, the government or even the Democrats want to see my bank statements. I've never paid anybody for any help with, you know, trying to get our case in front of President Trump. The only companies I've ever paid are the billboard companies, and then for running those commercials. But
remind everybody where you put the billboard at.
So last summer, I had the idea to put a billboard by Alice Marie Johnson's house in Mississippi. So I did that, and that's actually how I made contact with her, and she had me send the full pardon packet that I put together. It's about 140 pages long. Has all the. It's not just me accusing the prosecutor of all this misconduct and the, you know, Brady violations. Like, it's backed up with hard documentation as well.
Right.
So that's how I got to Alice, to be able to kind of get our foot in that door. And then right before Thanksgiving, I had saved up money again, and I put one right on, I don't know the freeway number, but basically the route President Trump takes from Donald J. Trump Airport to Mar-a-Lago. So that was up for about a month over Thanksgiving into the early Christmas season, when we knew he would be going back to Florida on the weekends. So yeah, I had this unique way of trying to think outside the box, and I almost had to go more back to an analog version instead of the digital world we live in to try and get noticed. So
hey, I think it's brilliant. I think they were brilliant ideas, and I think you've dealt with this in a way that most people would not be able to, Chris, between you and Erin, and taking care of your boys, parents, and her parents, those kind of things. So you mentioned y'all are moving. Are you going to be still as close to your parents?
Yeah, we'll actually be closer.
Inside? Okay.
We'll be closer. We're only moving about 7 minutes from where we are now, but it's actually closer to my parents, the kids' school, and the gym we own. And then when Luca does have to start learning to drive, he won't have to go on a freeway like to drive to school. It's all just surface streets. So that was another plus.
That's a good plus. You might consider buying a Tesla for Erin, since she doesn't drive. The Model Y.
We have a Tesla. So
okay, all right.
But
yeah.
I want them still to learn how to drive. Well, at least the kids. Erin can drive. She's driving right now. She's got my pickup truck.
Outstanding. Well, I've got about a minute left, man. Tell folks what you want them to know, and how they can help you guys.
Yeah, so my philosophy right now is I think I've done as much to get it to the pardon attorneys and even hopefully the White House. But if you want to take an example of Alice Marie Johnson, she tried to get a pardon twice under Obama, and it didn't happen. But then when Kim Kardashian stepped in and used that celebrity, that's I think what got her to the finish line. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Like, you know, thankful to Dean Cain and Todd Chrisley's even done some stuff, but you know, your listeners, like, try and find those, you know, right-leaning, actual smart and no common sense celebrities, which are kind of far and few, but and just try and see if they'll help, because I think that's gives the pardon a good noise, instead of what the Democrats are trying to do right now and saying how it's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for spending more time with us. We're praying for you. I talk about it every day, about praying for folks like you and Erin and your boys, and we will do what we can to continue to keep this story in front of everybody, just as I always have. And you got my number, so
yeah. Well, we appreciate it. And my father-in-law really enjoys hanging out with you too. So,
well, I appreciate him reading the book, and you too, by the way.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Chris. God bless you, and keep your chin up.
Thank you.
All right. Tomorrow is Whistleblower Wednesday. Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Ed Kennedy is here to talk about his latest article calling out the Marxists at West Point Military Academy. Yep, they're still there and have been for quite a while. I'll see you then on the Rob Maness Show.